All right, welcome to another episode of Levi in the Closet. Thank you guys for checking out my videos. Before I get started, I'm just going to plug myself a little bit here. Follow Levi Acid on Instagram. If you want to message me with any kind of questions or topics you want to see in my future videos, follow Levi Acid on Instagram. And also you can just see what I'm up to. I don't post all the time, but just see what's up with my life and what I'm doing. And yeah, follow Levi Acid. And also like this video and also leave a comment below if you're feeling a little saucy today, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content that I've been putting out. So all right, getting right into it. My item of the day, if you haven't seen my videos, I like to show an item out of my closet at the beginning of every video. And today this is I've had this shirt for a long time. This is a homemade cutoff. It's got this really cool fish design on it. It was like a church summer camp I went to, like a youth camp, and they made these shirts. Like every camp you go to, like you get some kind of shirt, like they'll say like, oh, the year and whatnot on there. But this was the design for their camp that year. Really cool. Like I get compliments on it all the time, especially in Washington, because there would be people that had gone, and like there was a huge group that went to this one. And so they were like, oh yeah, I remember that, I was there. And I was like, oh really? And then we talked about it. You get to just meet random people through that, just wearing this shirt. That people would come up to me and they'd be like, oh yeah, I went to that one year, like I remember that. And that was a great time. It was really fun. We went out on a chain of houseboats, and they were small, living quarters. Like it was almost an RV without the the cab on it. So it was the living area, and then in the back there was bunk beds, so 4 beds total on each one, maybe like 10 on each side. That sounds like a lot, but there was a guy's side and there was a girl's side, and then in the middle there was like a stage with it was on top was a stage, and underneath it there was an area where they would have food for us. So we'd go there and we'd get like our meals and whatnot, and that was really fun. We lived out there, I think it was a week. It felt like forever, but we were out there in the middle of Lake Billy Chinook in, I think, Oregon. It might be Oregon, but Lake Billy Chinook, it's a huge canyon, and we had to go on a speedboat out into the middle of this canyon, and we were on there maybe like 10 minutes maybe to get to the middle, and we were on a boat going real fast. So that took quite a while to get there. But anyway, I digress. My item of the day, I wear this to the gym. It's also getting nicer and it's hot out, so wearing the tank top, sun's out, guns out. Look at that, baby. Been hitting the gym a lot. Just got back from the gym. Today wasn't arms, I hit legs today. Gotta do leg day. Gotta get that cake, get that dump truck. But anyway, I digress even further. So my topic of the day, the reason, before I get into it, I saw on Facebook, I said this in previous videos, this is where I get a lot of inspiration from, but I was on Facebook. I saw one of my coworkers was having a baby shower party with him and his girlfriend. They're not married. It's him and his girlfriend. They're having a baby. And I've known him quite a while, and he's within a circle of people that I know, and it's kind of odd how we all connected. Like, I know these people from here and here, but they also know these other people, and one, not to confuse the matter, but anyway, he posted this on Facebook, and he was tagged in these pictures for the baby shower. And he's pretty young. He's younger than I am. I'm not going to say how old he is, but in my mind, this is too young to be having a child, just because you haven't really begun to learn your life. Like, go out. Maybe you've gone through things. Like, I think everyone's journey is different, but I think also there's things developmentally wise that you have to develop before you should be ready to take care of another child, or of another soul, or a child, some other human being that you need to develop a little bit and go through some things. Like, there's not enough life within your teens to early 20s. There's not enough life experience in there, no matter what you've gone through. Like, maybe you've gone through a lot of things, but like there is stuff still to learn as you grow and become older. And I haven't had a kid yet, and for various reasons. Because my one reason why I haven't had a kid yet is just because my parents were very traditional. They passed on that tradition to me that I still feel is right in my own way of learning and experiencing spirituality and religion and rules and what I decide to live my life by. And one of those is that you shouldn't have a kid out of wedlock, the child out of wedlock. And I believe that. And, having a bastard child, I feel like that damns them somehow, like maybe in some way, but especially if they're dating and then you break up, then you're never even married. And so there's all these different things like who takes care of the baby because you weren't in a technical relationship or like a legal relationship. And I don't know all the legalities of it, but it just makes it so much more complicated. So I just don't understand why people would do that. And I understand it's not always planned either. But I really feel like that's something that you should wait until you're married, because then you know who you're with, hopefully doing all the right things to find your perfect partner, not just somebody that you feel that you love, and somebody that you've grown and that you spent all these years with, somebody that is actually a good partner for you. That's what I want for everybody, to find their perfect partner. And I know it's not easy to find that perfect person, but also just having a little bit more self-respect, and just having standards for who you date and who you're with and what you want to be treated, or the way that you want to be treated. We all deserve the best, and finding somebody that's going to compliment you and not tear you down and going to uplift you and be your peace and be your one person, just somebody that you go live with every single day that's not your family. That's a big deal. That's a big commitment. And there's a lot of stuff that also throughout a relationship has to happen, that you go through things together, you go through life together, have life experiences, and find out, are we really compatible? And then if you aren't, and you're trying to go through these steps while having a child, that's going to make it harder because you can't focus on each other. You got to be able to focus on each other first, and then you can add a child into that. You have to be able to finish that part of it's like a step in the process, like the family building process or the relationship process. Because why have a relationship in the first place if you don't plan to eventually have a family, to have a child, to have a house, to provide, to have a generation, generation after generation come from your decision of who you're with. That's a big decision. And for me, that's also the next reason why, because that's a big decision to have a child. I want to find somebody that's going to make my child the best, like the best looking person. They're going to have, they're going to have the brains, they're going to have the looks, they're going to have, the insight and same principles that I live by. Somebody that, not necessarily agreeing on every single thing, but somebody that we share enough in common that we're going to complement each other and then produce something amazing out of that, not just because, oh, it was an accident, it was an unplanned pregnancy, or this was, something, random that just happened, or, she's on birth control, but then also became pregnant somehow. Things like that happen. It's not always 100%, but you just got to plan for that. And so that's, why I try to be aware, like having sex is a big deal for me. It's not just something that I'm just going to be throwing around there because I don't want to be spreading my seed. I want to keep that limited because that's in some ways I agree with that saying. That's a man's essence. And that is true because that's going to create the next generation. If you're just throwing that around, who are you giving your last name to? Like your child, your son. If you're a man, then and if you have a child, or even if you have a daughter, if you have a son or a daughter, they're going to have your last name. They're going to be, a product of you. They're going to be a copy of you, even down to the DNA. It's this physical DNA is going to be very similar to yours. You're going to share that. And so you need to find another partner that is going to make that little person grow and flourish. Somebody that's going to create a good environment for them to grow and learn and flourish in, instead of a hostile environment, or maybe they don't know how to love in a certain way. Like everybody is capable of love, but developing that that cognizance and that ability to just be like, okay, here's how somebody needs to be loved, and not just in the way that I feel is the way they needed it. Like, what do they need? Not in a selfish way. You have to learn and develop that. So that's also what I'm looking for in a woman, is that somebody that knows how to love somebody and that loves me. That's the first thing, somebody that loves me 100%. Then I know, okay, and I can continue to pursue this person or see what's going to happen in the future. But I don't plan on that with every girl I date. I do not plan on having a future with them. I see this as, okay, we'll see where things go. If it goes in that direction, maybe then we do have a relationship, and then maybe down the road, then maybe get engaged and get married and whatnot. But then, things like that for me take time. And also, again, what's the point of dating without the intent behind it of getting married? If you're in a long-term relationship and still not married, I don't understand the point of that. I am kind of like a serial dater. I date around. I've dated a lot of girls, gone out on a lot of dates, not gone as far as like having sex and stuff like that. To me is a little bit more sacred, just based on my own beliefs. But I have dated a lot of girls, and I don't do that with the intent of, okay, I'm going to try to follow this through to the end and marry you. This is just kind of, okay, I'm getting to know like what I like, and if you're with somebody from a young age, like high school sweethearts, you got to kind of date outside of like that one person that you were focused on. I talked about this in a previous video, should I say, with my high school sweetheart. So check that video out too. Check that video out after this video, all right? And I also, on a second note, or on a side note, thank you guys for following along. If you're still watching the video, I appreciate you guys so much. I love you guys. I just want to help you become the best man that you can be. And I don't want you having babies with the wrong woman, like that's a big deal. Having a child with somebody at a young age that you haven't had the opportunity to go out there and, like taste all the flavors, you know what I mean? I was in a relationship for a long time thinking this is somebody I'm going to have a kid with eventually. This is somebody that I love. I want to get married to. I want to have a house with. I want to have a future with, blah, blah, blah. But then now I've dated around and I'm like, man, my vision was so focused on her. I didn't get to experience all these women until now, like I kind of appreciate that because now I can do that with like a logical, like, I'm not just out here just having sex all over the place trying to figure out like, oh, what do I like? What don't I like? Like I can already kind of get a feel for that already after my experience. Gotta catch my breath here. So anyway, that's what I feel is important for you as a man. If you're a young man, or even if you're, an older man, if you're single, divorced, going through something, you're older. I'm 27. Quiet there. I don't share that with everybody now. But anyway, once you're out of a relationship you've been in for such a long period of time, that's when you get the opportunity to go explore and learn and see, just different things. Like maybe you like Australian women. Have you ever been to Australia and dated Australian women? Maybe they do something that you really love. Like maybe their cooking is real good, or maybe they have just like some, like you love the accent. Like this is just me thinking. I used to have a huge crush on that girl in what was that show? Chuck. That girl that played the blonde, and she's really Australian. I had a huge crush on her, and so I was just like, oh man, I one day just want to be able to date an Australian girl. So one day it's on my bucket list. And guess what? I am single, so I can still have that in my future. I have the opportunity to date an Australian. I realize I'm getting way off track here. Back to the baby making. It's just part of being in a relationship. That's what I'm trying to convey here. If you're in a relationship for the long run, this is the person that you want to be with, then you should plan on getting married and not having your kid right away, right out of what I think that's what it's called, wedlock, or having a bastard kid. And I know that's kind of a controversial word, or that's a bad word, a bad word. but yeah, that's what I feel like. It's traditional to call a child that if you've had it and you're not married. Like you should be married. I feel that's very important before you go out there and have a kid. One, just because that's getting to know the person up to that point of like, okay, I'm deciding to commit to you for the rest of my life. And then let's maybe even further, like once I get married, I don't want to have a kid right after I get married. I want to be able to enjoy the marriage and go out and do things together and just live together. I'm not living with another person until I get married, that's for sure, because I love living on my own. I love living on my own. But anyway, back to the baby making. If I had a kid right now, I wouldn't have half the opportunities that I've had, and I would be stuck probably back where I first started. If I had a kid with my high school sweetheart, I'd be back in Washington. I never would have moved out here. And not saying that, every opportunity has been amazing and it's all just been, hugs and kisses and all that, but when I moved out here, it was taking a risk and just saying, hey, I want to go out here and try something different, live in a new environment that I haven't before, be closer to my family and the people that I love, and just have this new opportunity. And so far, it's been pretty good. You know, I'm out here, I got my own place. But if I had had a kid, I would have been with the same chick, or because we broke up, you know, we could have broken up, and then the kid's in the middle of this, dealing with, you know, two parents that aren't mother and father, you know, that aren't, uh, yeah, it's like then you have broken families, and then you know the mom gets with another guy, and then is this the dad? I don't know. And so then the other dad, you know, the real dad, biological father, then you know the child in their mind is just probably being overwhelmed by like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Is this my father? Is this my father? No, you know, they need to have that stable father figure that's like, this is my father, this is my mother, they're together, they love me, you know, and the child shouldn't bear the weight of that, but they do. Psychologically, it's 100% proven, you know, there's no dispute. But still, people are out there having children and not married and not in a relationship that hasn't been solidified, you know, still young, still too young, in my opinion, to have children. They aren't married yet, so why? You know, it hurts me thinking that there's going to be a child brought in this world as much, and it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Bringing a soul into this world is a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong, but also, you know, it just makes me hurt for what the outcome of that could be. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am. But a lot of the time, I know that could be the direction that it goes. That, you know, a couple breaks up, they've been dating for a long time, from high school, you know, and they've been dating, but then, you know, they're not together anymore. And then the kid's going to have two different families at least. And then just this cycle that it continues, and broken families and hurting people, and like unintentionally, I know, but still that's what it causes, just this, you know, this ripple effect. And I want my offspring to be great. Like, I plan on having a son, because that's what needs to happen. Like, maybe it doesn't, maybe the universe is just crazy, but when I have my son, he's going to carry on my name. And I want our name to be great. You know, I want my name to be great, my father's name, my grandfather's name, my great grandfather's name. You know, I want our line to continue. It is a random chance that I'm even alive, because my dad has 6 sisters, right? 7 children. My dad is the youngest out of 6 sisters, all right? He was their last hope. Like, maybe they would have kept having kids until they had a boy, but then I wouldn't be alive still, you know? I would have been, you know, maybe never existed. But my dad was born to carry on the last name. And nobody else can say that in the family other than I mean, there are other branches of family, but like the line that I've descended from, no one else in that line can say and share my last name. You know what I mean? Nobody can take that and claim that. And I want that to be great. For my child to share my last name, my son is going to be the one that's like, okay, this is your responsibility now. Like, maybe not verbally. Like, that was never told to me. Nobody ever said that to me. And I'm the eldest out of our line. You know, there's kind of a thing with the older child getting way off. Well, maybe not way off topic, but, you know, kind of going off a little bit here. But, you know, that's what I'm trying to say too. Like, that's the kind of care and consideration I'm putting into my future child. You know, that's what is going to happen. And a lot of people probably don't think about that. They don't think about, well, this child is going to have my last name, and they're going to have to, you know, overcome these obstacles. They're going to have to do this. And like, I want to have something to give to my family, give to my children, other than just my last name. Like, I want to be able to give them wealth, you know, maybe property, you know, something to be proud of, something to have pride in, you know, give them family to be around too. Don't take them away from the family and go hide them somewhere. I want them to be around family and flourish and grow. You know, that's the whole goal of life, is to have the best opportunities, the best experience you can possibly have. And anyway, I digress. Those are just randomly, in no particular order. Just that's as my mind works. This is just purely a video representing how my mind works. If you followed along to this point, I appreciate it. I hope that you got something away from this. I'm going to wrap the video up here. I love you guys so much, and I just want the best for all you men out there, all you aspiring men, all you guys that you're trying to be your alpha self, you know, alpha male. But anyway, I digress. I love you guys, and love yourself before anybody else. Don't be making these babies. Don't be making love unless you love yourself. Ooh, yeah, don't be making love unless you love yourself. That's a bar. All right, catch you guys in the next video.